I woke up one morning and something felt different. Not wrong exactly, just different. My back didn't hurt. My neck wasn't stiff. I actually felt rested for the first time in months. I lay there for a moment, staring at my ceiling, trying to figure out what had changed. Then it hit me. The mattress. This wasn't my mattress. I sat up fast, my heart suddenly racing. The comforter was mine, the sheets were mine, but underneath me was definitely not the sad, lumpy disaster I'd been sleeping on for the past 2 years. This mattress was firm, but somehow soft, supportive in all the right places. I pressed down on it with my hand. Memory foam. Expensive memory foam. What the hell? I grabbed my phone from the nightstand. No missed calls, no texts, nothing from my landlord, Killian. I pulled up our message thread and scrolled through. The last exchange was from 3 days ago when I'd mentioned the bathroom faucet was dripping. He'd said he'd fix it, which he did the next day while I was at work. That was just how he operated. Quiet, efficient, always taking care of things before they became real problems. But replacing someone's mattress without telling them? That was weird, right? That crossed some kind of line. I got out of bed and walked around it slowly, like it might suddenly reveal its secrets. It looked new, top of the line. I checked the tag, a brand I recognized from those late-night scrolling sessions when I couldn't sleep on my old mattress and ended up looking at ones I definitely couldn't afford. This thing cost at least $1,500, probably more. My apartment was small, a studio in an old converted house in the Arts District. The rent was cheap by city standards, which was the only reason I could afford to live alone on a junior graphic designer's salary. Killian owned the whole building, lived in the unit above mine. I'd met him exactly once before signing the lease, 14 months ago. He was maybe 10 years older than me, early 30s, with dark hair that was always slightly too long and these intense gray eyes that seemed to notice everything. He dressed like someone who'd given up on impressing anyone, flannel shirts and worn jeans, but somehow made it work. He was attractive in this understated way that snuck up on you. Not conventionally handsome, but striking. The kind of face that got more interesting the longer you looked at it. I'd harbored a quiet, hopeless crush on him pretty much since day one. Not that I'd ever done anything about it. He was my landlord. I was his tenant. There were rules about these things, unspoken boundaries. Plus, I had no idea if he was even into men. He kept to himself mostly. I'd hear him moving around upstairs sometimes, footsteps crossing from one side of his apartment to the other, but we rarely ran into each other. I texted him, "Hey, so I woke up on a completely different mattress. Did you replace it?" 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, a response. "Yes, your old one was terrible, bad for your back. Consider it a building upgrade." I stared at my phone. A building upgrade? I was the only tenant on this floor. The building had 4 units total. This was specifically for me. "You didn't have to do that," I typed. "How much do I owe you?" "Nothing. Already done." "Killian, this mattress costs like $2,000. Closer to $2,200 actually. Don't worry about it." I sat down on the edge of my new mattress, feeling something complicated twist in my chest. This was too much. Way too much. Landlords didn't just drop $2,000 on their tenants' comfort. There had to be an angle, a reason. Maybe he was raising the rent, and this was softening the blow? But that didn't make sense either. He'd just renewed my lease 3 months ago, locked in the same rate for another year. "Why?" I sent. The 3 dots took longer this time. "You mentioned your back was hurting a few weeks ago, in passing." I tried to remember. Had I? Maybe. I complained about my back a lot, usually to my best friend Maya, but maybe I'd said something to Killian? We'd crossed paths in the hallway one evening. He'd asked how I was doing, and I'd probably said something like exhausted or sore, because that's what I always said. He'd remembered that. He'd remembered and then spent over $2,000 to fix it. I didn't know what to do with that information. The thing is, I'd been having these moments with Killian, small ones. Nothing I could point to as definitive proof of anything, but enough to make me wonder, like last month when my kitchen sink got clogged and he came down to fix it. He'd been under the sink for maybe 20 minutes, and when he emerged, there was this streak of grime across his forearm. Without thinking, I'd grabbed a paper towel and reached out to wipe it off. Our eyes met as I touched him, and something passed between us, something electric and unspoken. He'd gone very still, watching me, and I'd frozen too, suddenly aware of how intimate the gesture was. Then he'd cleared his throat, and I'd pulled back, and we'd both pretended nothing happened. Or the time I'd struggled to carry groceries up the front steps, and he'd appeared out of nowhere to help. Our hands brushed, reaching for the same bag, and he'd smiled at me, this soft, almost shy smile that made my stomach flip. Or 2 weeks ago when I'd been playing music too loud, singing along badly to some pop song, and I'd opened my door to find him standing there. I'd been mortified, ready to apologize, but he'd just leaned against the doorframe and said, "You have a nice voice." Then he'd walked away before I could respond. These tiny moments that I'd collected and analyzed and ultimately dismissed as wishful thinking. But a $2,000 mattress? That wasn't nothing. That wasn't landlord responsibility. That was something else. I spent the whole day distracted at work. My boss, Jennifer, had to say my name 3 times before I registered. She was talking to me during our afternoon meeting. Maya noticed too. We met for coffee after work like we did most Tuesdays, and I'd barely touched my latte before she was giving me that look. "Okay, what's going on?" she asked. "You've checked your phone like 15 times, and you have that weird expression you get when you're overthinking something." I told her about the mattress. Her eyes got progressively wider as I talked. "Adrian," she said when I finished, "he's into you." "You don't know that." "A $2,000 mattress? Are you kidding me right now? That's not landlord behavior. That's, I'm desperately trying to take care of you without being obvious about it behavior." Or he's just a really good landlord who takes property maintenance seriously. Maya gave me a flat look. "Has he replaced anyone else's mattress?" "I don't know, maybe." "But you don't think so?" I didn't. The elderly couple on the first floor had lived there for years. The grad student on the 3rd floor had moved in around the same time as me. I'd never heard either of them mention surprise furniture upgrades. "Even if he does have feelings," I said, "he's not going to act on them. He's too professional, and I'm too scared of making things weird." "So you're both just going to pine from a distance forever? That's the plan?" "I'm not pining." "You're absolutely pining. You've been pining since you moved in. You literally described his hands to me once, in detail, the veins and everything." I had done that. In my defense, he had really nice hands, strong and capable with long fingers, the kind of hands that looked like they could fix anything or hold you steady or... "See?" Maya said, gesturing at my face. "That expression right there, that's pining." I groaned and dropped my head into my hands. "You should do something," she continued. "Make a move. Bake him cookies as a thank you. Invite him for dinner. Something. And if I'm wrong, if he was just being nice and I make it weird, then you find a new apartment. But Adrian, I really don't think you're wrong." I went home that night with Maya's words circling in my head. The new mattress seemed to loom in my studio, this enormous gesture I didn't know how to interpret. I made dinner, tried to watch TV, gave up, and decided to take a shower instead. The water heater had been temperamental lately, another thing I'd mentioned to Killian. The shower took forever to warm up and never got quite hot enough. I was standing there, waiting for the temperature to rise when I heard footsteps above me. Killian was home. I could track his movement across his apartment, kitchen to living room, then stopping, right above my bathroom. I wondered what he was doing. If he was thinking about me. If the mattress thing had been as significant as it felt, or if I was building castles out of sand. The water finally warmed up. I got in, closed my eyes, and let myself imagine for a moment what it would be like if Maya was right, if Killian did want me the way I wanted him, what his hands would feel like with intent behind them, not just accidentally brushing mine, what it would be like to close the distance between us, to stop dancing around whatever this was. When I got out, I made a decision. I'd thank him properly, face to face, tomorrow. Except tomorrow, I chickened out, and the day after that. A week went by. The mattress remained perfect. My sleep improved dramatically. I saw Killian once in passing and managed only an awkward wave. Then on Friday night, my kitchen faucet started leaking. Not the slow drip from before, but a steady stream that wouldn't stop no matter how hard I cranked the handle. I tried fixing it myself for about 20 minutes before admitting defeat and texting Killian. Kitchen faucet emergency. I'm so sorry. I know it's late. It was almost 10. The dots appeared within seconds. Be right down. My heart started racing. I looked around my apartment. It was messy. I'd been in the middle of a design project, papers and sketches everywhere. My dinner dishes were still in the sink, which was ironic given the circumstances. I did a frantic speed clean, shoving things into drawers and closets. He knocked 3 minutes later. I opened the door and there he was, toolbox in hand, wearing a faded t-shirt and sweatpants. His hair was damp, like he'd just showered. He smelled like cedar and something clean. "Hey," I said, my voice coming out higher than intended. "Thanks for coming so quick." "No problem." He stepped inside, and I was suddenly very aware of how small my studio was, how his presence seemed to fill it. "Show me what's going on." I led him to the kitchen sink. As I demonstrated the problem, I became conscious of how close we were standing, our shoulders almost touching. He leaned in to examine the faucet, and I caught another hint of his scent. My brain short-circuited slightly. "Should be an easy fix," he said. "Probably just need to replace the cartridge." He got to work, and I hovered nearby, unsure what to do with myself. This felt different than other times he'd been in my apartment. More charged, somehow. Or maybe that was just me projecting. "The mattress is amazing, by the way," I said, because apparently I'd decided to just blurt things out. "I've been sleeping so much better. I really can't thank you enough." He glanced up at me, wrench in hand. "Good, that's good. You seem less tired lately." "You noticed?" Something flickered across his face. "I notice a lot of things." The air between us felt suddenly thick. He held my gaze for a long moment before returning to the faucet. My pulse was hammering. "Like what?" I asked quietly. His hands stilled. "Adrian." The way he said my name, low and careful, made my breath catch. "Like what?" I repeated. He set down the wrench and straightened up, turning to face me fully. We were maybe 2 feet apart. His gray eyes searched my face. "Like how you hum when you're cooking," he said. "Like how you always take the stairs even though you live on the 2nd floor. Like how you smile at your phone when you're texting your friend. Like how you've been sleeping better but you still look at me like you're afraid I'm going to disappear." I couldn't breathe. "Killian, I shouldn't have replaced your mattress without asking," he continued, his voice rough. "I knew it was crossing a line, but I couldn't stand knowing you were in pain, that I could fix it and wasn't." "Why?" I whispered. He took a step closer, then another. We were inches apart now. "Because I think about you constantly," he said. "Because I lie awake at night, listening to you move around down here and wishing I had the courage to just tell you. Because you're the best part of my day, and you don't even know it." My heart felt like it might explode out of my chest. I thought I was imagining it. All those moments, I thought I was seeing what I wanted to see. "What do you want to see?" I reached up and touched his face, finally letting myself do what I'd wanted to for months. His skin was warm under my palm. He leaned into the touch, his eyes closing briefly. "This," I said. "You." He kissed me. Or I kissed him. It didn't matter who moved first because suddenly we were pressed together and his hands were in my hair and nothing had ever felt more right. He kissed like he did everything else, with complete focus and attention, like I was the only thing in the world that mattered. When we broke apart, both breathing hard, he rested his forehead against mine. "I was trying to be professional," he murmured, "trying to respect boundaries." "Forget the boundaries." He laughed, the sound warm and relieved. "I bought you a mattress. I think I already did." We kissed again, slower this time. His hands slid down to my waist, pulling me closer. I could feel the solid warmth of him, real and present, and finally mine to touch. "Stay," I said against his mouth. "Tonight, stay." He pulled back just enough to look at me, his expression serious. "Are you sure?" I'd never been more sure of anything. "Yes." We didn't make it to the new mattress right away. We stood in my tiny kitchen, kissing and talking and kissing some more. He told me about noticing me the day I'd come to look at the apartment, how I'd smiled at the window light, and he'd known immediately he wanted me to take it. I told him about my crush, about all the small moments I'd collected. We laughed about how oblivious we'd both been, how much time we'd wasted being careful. Eventually, we did move to the bed. His bed now too, in a way. We lay facing each other in the dark, still mostly clothed, just holding each other and talking. His hand traced patterns on my back. I played with his hair, finally allowed to touch him the way I'd wanted to. "This is probably the best mattress purchase I've ever made," he said, and I could hear the smile in his voice. I laughed and kissed him again. "Best building upgrade ever." "Just wait," he murmured. "I'm planning to upgrade a lot of things around here." And he did. Not with furniture or fixes, but with presents, with morning coffee and shared dinners, and his toothbrush appearing next to mine in the bathroom, with his hands and his heart and his careful, constant attention. The mattress was just the beginning, the first of many ways Killian showed me what it meant to be cared for, to be seen, to be loved. And every night, as I fell asleep beside him in that perfect bed, I was grateful he'd been brave enough to cross that line. Some boundaries, it turns out, are meant to be broken. Total_char_count 16,847.